from all across the world in order to help them to build a little bit better digital society. And based on Estonian experience, we try to help everyone to build this kind of transparency in the system, and of course also to always keep in mind all the security aspects. But today I will be mostly focusing on our e-business sector, which is I would say the key element of the success of one state, I would say, because if the private sector is doing great and then the business sector is blooming in a way, so also the entire state can operate in a normal paces. And I'm pretty sure everyone understands about this already. So I will be introducing the Estonian business environment and a little bit also just the infrastructure, how we have built our society, and why all of you should start doing business either in Estonia or with Estonia. So hopefully you will understand by the end of this session a little bit better regarding these aspects as well. But all the way over to Annika now.
Thank you. Yes, hello from my side as well. Happy Ramadan. My name is Annika and I am working at Startup Estonia as a Startup Visa and Foreign Relations Project Lead. Today I will tell you a little bit about the Estonian startup ecosystem and a short insight also to Startup Visa. So you will hear shortly what is it all about. Thank you.
Well, hi everyone. My name is Sherif Adnan. I am a co-founder and CEO of tod-Z. I'm based in Egypt, and of course, happy Ramadan to you all. We created our company as a part of the e-residency in Estonia. So I'm glad to be discussing this with you and share with you my experience and the journey of how we created tod-Z via e-residency in Estonia.
And hello, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our first ever online meeting. And I would like to start our session by wishing you all a blessed and peaceful Ramadan as well. We really appreciate that you have taken this time out tonight to join us and to learn more about and hear more about Estonia. My name is Ege Devon, and I manage Enterprise Estonia trade office for Gulf region based in Dubai. Estonia is a digital society, and less hassle means time better spent. We are a small nation. We have just 1.3 million people, but we have very big ambitions, and we have great minds, and we also have people who understand technology. And I'm very sure that if I'm gonna say to you that guess what, Skype was invented by Estonians, it will be a big surprise for you all, but it's a really nice and good surprise, I hope. And tonight we will hear more about our digital Estonia, about our like ecosystem of our societies, and also about our startups. And as we already mentioned, that we're gonna even meet in person one of our e-residents, Sherif, who's gonna share his story. So I'm very happy to have you all here on board with us, and big thanks to the Redimecca team for organizing all these great discussions with us tonight. I hope you will enjoy it. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you everyone for introducing yourselves. Of course, for our audience, for you to know about Estonia, as it was mentioned in one of Ramadan shows a couple of days ago, representing Estonia's achievement of digitizing 99% of its government services. And one of its main programs that I was introduced to, I believe that was about 3 or 4 years ago, is the e-residency for the entrepreneurs. And it was a program that created a big impact in the global entrepreneurial community, and many other countries looked at it and looked up for it as an example, and they wanted to either to replicate or to learn from it on how they can benefit and develop their programs and their services. We are looking forward to learn from all of you, and we are definitely keen to understand more and to benefit from the experience. If you don't mind, I would like to start by asking you, Sherif, or starting with you, Sherif, just to hear a bit and to get everyone excited by introducing your entrepreneurial experience right there. If you would like to talk a bit about your company, about tod-Z, and just give us some exciting details on how the journey was and why you started it. Yeah.
Sure. So tod-Z is an abbreviation for Talent on Demand. That's the start. We are a freelance marketplace. It started with a personal experience. It's a co-foundation between me and my partner. She's my wife as well. We tried to work many times outside of Egypt. We both have great multinational expertise in multinational companies like Henkel, Procter & Gamble, IBM, and Oracle. But we wanted to have a chance to explore other markets like European markets, maybe American markets. But it was very hard due to our Egyptian nationality to make visas and to go going abroad. It was not like a very easy solution. So we thought that we want to give every individual who has a talent a platform that they can have a place where they can explore such talent. So what we did is that we started to search. That was before the pandemic. Should it be full-time? Should it be part-time? How does it go? And we found by research that everything is going towards productivity per hour. So we thought that, okay, this is the market. We should seek freelancers. And when we started doing that, we found a lot of problems in such markets. The freelancers are people who don't have a lot of rights, like banking section rights, financial section rights, healthcare rights. There are a lot of problems within the sector happening. So we wanted to go and try to fix those problems. So we thought of, okay, we want to have an anti-discriminative way where no discrimination can happen between men, women, old people, small people. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from. Just we want to give you a chance if you have an output. So we thought of creating a multi-tiered assessment process between us and our partners. And this will make us vet the talent inside of tod-Z. So all our talent inside of tod-Z are vetted. This is as a beginning. And then we thought of, okay, how should we price them? And this is something very much hard in this sector. So we came with an AI model, which is, I think, a first of a kind, that it is based on your assessment scores, skills, and everything regarding your customized experience. And this job specifically for you, you will have a price per hour. And this is in a nutshell about how we created tod-Z. Of course, when we came to create it, we thought of, okay, we want an environment where we can operate in a digital, because it's a digital platform. So how do we do that? We started searching, and we found that there are like 2-3 countries back then that we can operate digital. It was Estonia, of course, US, and UAE, as far as I remember. So we took the decision of, okay, what kind of policies we want to have, and it did suit us best to go with Estonia and the e-residency program. We found it very flexible. Everything was digitized, everything was online. So we thought that this is the right way for us to proceed. So this is a nutshell about tod-Z, what we do, and how we came with it.
All right. Thanks, Sherif, for introducing us. We will get back to you. Apparently, something got messed up in the timing, and we should have started with Anett. So my apologies. Let's get back to the schedule, and we'll get back to you again. Really excited to have further discussions with that. Seems really exciting journey. Anett, please go ahead.
Yeah, so first of all, again, it was wonderful to hear as a beginning the story of one happy resident who has been enjoying Estonian business environment. And I do hope that my presentation will make everyone do understand what has been the benefits that he has been enjoying with his company, and hopefully you will find also the ways to join our business ecosystem and environment in a way. I will be sharing my screen also. I prepared some of the slides for you so that you would also have something to look at by the numbers and everything. So I'm going to be sharing my screen with you in a second, and then we can spend like half an hour with me discovering the aspects of Estonia. Not going to waste any more time on introducing myself, as we already did that briefly, and I'm going to jump right over here. I'm pretty sure that we have people that are from very different places around the world and also might not know all the facts about Estonia. I just wanted to focus on, in just like a couple of minutes, on our historical background so that you would understand, like, how did this very small, tiny country that, as Ege said before, that only has 1.3 million people, and especially comparing to Saudi, we're very, very tiny, managed to become one of the world leaders by digitalization in a way. So just briefly, the historical background aspects as well. Estonia regained its independence actually in 1981. If you think about this, this is only 30 years ago, not even 30 because that happened in August. So we are still a very young country that was facing some very difficult times back in 1991, such as we had a very little money regarding the budget side, and then of course also many problems such as very high level of corruption, and the trust between the government and the citizens wasn't even existing here. So we're facing these problems, and our very young government at that time said that there has to be a way that we can get rid of these problems as soon as possible. But if we will continue to do things on the exact same way that everyone else have been doing, nothing is going to change. So we're going to stick on this position that we are at the moment. And they took some risky decisions by saying that we should start use technology in order to give a little bit more transparency, again, get closer to people by providing them a lot of information and a little bit easier way to communicate with the state. And then of course also, if you think about technology, and if I don't know your background of people that are listening to us today, but I'm pretty sure that there are plenty of people that are working in different like also businesses, and you know that if you use technology, I mean, right, like in the beginning, you might have to spend some money on development process, but like after a couple of months, it all is going to pay off, so that you can actually decrease the cost level. And this is what we have been able to do since already 1994, when the first draft was already like submitted to the parliament side. And one of the most important things, of course, for every state in order to provide a very great also e-business environment is to make sure that the entire state has been covered with a very good internet connection. So this is what I always say to the policymakers, that you shouldn't start by, I don't know, just building AI services or proactive services, but you should start by covering the state with internet connection, because otherwise people don't have this great access there. So we did that since the very beginning, and today we are in a point where 99% of our things are fully operating online. So the only things that we still need to show up in person is getting married and divorced, and this is pretty much it. Before the crisis, before the pandemic hit the world, we also had the third thing, which was signing documents on paper when you wanted to buy properties, apartment houses. So all the notary actions also happened on paper before the crisis. But we very quickly changed this too, because that was very clear that the economic system is going to be hit a lot when the notary actions can happen, and when people are afraid to go to physically because of pandemic to notary offices. So right now this is also fully operating online. But the success story in our e-business environment and in entire e-governance sector has been only possible because we introduced the electronic ID cards already since the year of 2002. And by today, I can tell you that 98% of our people already have the electronic ID cards. So that's again, I guess why we have been so successful by raising this number so high and get everyone to get the card is because this is a mandatory card. We have some neighborhood countries here, such as Finland, who did not make this card compulsory, and they're still struggling today because they have to keep the different systems up working at the same time, because people still have to be able to do things on paper basis and then some of them online. And around only 40% of their citizens have the card. So I've been always also I would say encouraging governments to make these things compulsory, because that would make everyone to be included in the process. And of course, again, when we think about especially the e-business like sector, so I mean, if you think about what kind of information one has in e-business registry, how like sensitive all this information is, then we had to make sure that this has to serve the highest level of security. And that's why Estonia is currently the first country in the world who started using KSI blockchain on a national level, and especially in business sector, because we want to make sure that none of the information would be leaked or hacked, or even the state administrators wouldn't be able to log into the system and delete or I don't know, replace some information without leaving any traces there. So that's why we introduced the blockchain also on a national level. And as also all the residency card holders, such as also Sherif, can sign all his documents fully online without having to do that on paper. We can also do that with our user ID cards. And speaking about the numbers, so we save every citizen here around 5 days per year by signing documents online. And I'm pretty sure that that no one wouldn't mind having an extra week of vacation, because you can sign things fully online without having to go and be waiting in a queues. I have been lucky enough to live in many different places in the world for my studies, and this was one of the reasons why I very much wanted to come back to Estonia, because I had this chance to sign my documents remotely wherever I was in the world. So not again have to waste my time in any of the queues. And by providing these digital signature, so the government also saves 2% of GDP every single year. And this is the money, by the way, that we spend on our defense and security sector. And I would say this is much more important than providing people opportunity to sign things on paper in a way. One fact that I also put here on this slide was that we have been quite crazy by digitalizing everything. And one of the examples here that the voting system is also fully operating by the iVoting system, and almost half of our population is already participating in our elections by using the iVoting application. As still the pandemic is around here, and the crisis have not finished yet or ended yet in a way. So in this autumn now, I guess it was in October, we're going to have the local elections happening, and I'm so excited to see already the numbers. So I'm pretty sure that the numbers will increase even more this time, because people want to avoid still all the contacts with other people, and this is an opportunity to do so. But now to continue here, just very quickly before we're gonna go and talk about more in details about the business sector, I also just wanted to show you this slide, because this is 100% my own favorite slide right over here. So if anyone is asking how to build a very efficient, secure, stable infrastructure of digital state, then this is my answer for you. Please put these 3 pillars as the focus. So you have to have confidentiality, you have to have availability of the information, and then the integrity aspects. So first of all, the confidentiality part, if you want to provide citizens and of course also business holders an opportunity to use the online methods in order to run their business and report to their taxes and so on, they have to be able to identify themselves in the most secure manners. And this is why we have the ID card, mobile ID, smart ID solution, and also the e-residency card. Because all these cards come with 2 different PIN codes, which are very, very secure, provided for us by the Police and Border Guard Board. So it's not just a random username and a password that you can create, but these are 2 very secure codes. And again, everything that you do is fully timestamped and encrypted in a way. So secondly, if you think about how many different institutions are linked to also business environment and the business registry, there are plenty of them. They need to be able to communicate and exchange information between each other. And that's why Estonia in the year of 2001 already introduced a system called tod-Z, which is our decentralized data exchange platform that helps different institutions, whatever, if it's a private sector or public sector institution, to exchange information like from one institution to another institution. And we are even operating with over the tod-Z system with some other countries. So do you also exchange information on a cross-border level? But this tod-Z system, first of all, lets us to exchange information super securely. And as I said, everything is fully timestamped and encrypted. And if you would be concerned about the security aspect there, or you want to make sure that none of the government institutions would be stalking your information, then we have this wonderful thing to absolutely everyone, for also all the business holders, which is called Data Tracker, so that we can log into our state platform, and also Sherif can do that, and see exactly which government agency at what time of the day has been looking for his information. You can see all this information and you can't hide absolutely anything. The only institution that we can't see there on a list is the security service, but I guess this makes sense to you, that there has to be still like one of the highest level of institutions that if there is any investigation going on, then you shouldn't be seeing that. But otherwise, everything, taxes, whatever other institution, if banks are checking your information, you can see that from the data tracker. So that's why I can say that I trust my state, because I control my information and I can see if someone has been checking this information. And then of course integrity, which I never get tired of speaking about because of the blockchain aspects. And of course also today we have realized that having just armed forces is never enough, because armed forces can't come and protect Estonia when something would happen in cyberspace. And much more is happening in cyberspace than in grounds regarding the wars. So that's why we also needed to have Cyber Command and Cyber Defense League. So group of people that have been exercised in order to protect Estonia when there will be something crazy happening, especially in cyberspace. And then one of the coolest things that I always like to talk about is also the data embassy. And I'm glad to tell you that also e-business registry is in our data embassy. And our data embassy is basically, in the most simple words to explain, like Estonian backup plan. So when something would happen here and you would think about like maybe some other country wants to attack us, like, I don't know, on the cyber level, or just come over here and try to burn down our servers, I got some good news for all of you, because by the data embassy, which is based in Luxembourg, we can have all of our information back. So our information has been backed up to Luxembourg, where Estonian data embassy servers are there. And whenever it would happen, and especially by the business registry, we can get all this information back, so nothing would be lost there. And why do we especially also promote this data embassy to other countries is because there are countries that that there is a lot of natural like like, I don't know, disasters happening, some storms and so on. You can never be sure that your servers would be, I don't know, operating in a right, like that they wouldn't be destroyed by some kind of catastrophe, a huge storm. So that's why also having this kind of backup plans is always incredible. You cannot save information that will be on vapor when there will be a fire happening and so, but you can save your digital data by like backing it up in another country's servers. So this is what we did. And now to talk about more in business. So I always like to say that where business is easy, business will grow. And Estonia today has the highest number of unicorns per capita, which shows again that if you make the environment very simple for business owners to operate, then they will come over here because they have much more time on focusing on their ideas, not about all the hustle that you have to do regarding the paper. So in order to establish a new company in Estonia, it takes maximum a few hours. I got some friends. We can also ask from Sherif later on how much time did it take from him in order to register his business. But I can tell you that I got some friends who have said that it took them only around 15-17 minutes. So it has to be a simple process. And of course, everything is fully paperless, hassle-free regarding taxation. No need to go to the FINA offices and report about your things. Usually the tax reporting is always happening super fast and just also in live. And then we try to have the full automation also in tax reporting regarding just our personal taxes. I declared my taxes this year, which is 30 seconds, and I got my money on my account back already in 2 weeks time. So it was very fast process. And again, I did not have to leave home for that. But we would like this to also to be operating as one of the just proactive and optimized services. And then, of course, the e-residency, which I will be talking about a little bit more in details too. So, and of course, as said many times already, that you can sign all of your documents, of course, fully online. And by the way, the Estonian signature that we give with our ID card is also legally binding all across the European Union. So I can send all my documents to any other European Union country and say, here it goes, here's my signature. And by the European laws, they can't argue with me because this is a legally binding signature, the same level that any signature on paper. And I have to be honest with you, one little secret. I don't even remember how does my signature look like anymore. I haven't been writing my signature on paper for years, and I honestly I should go later and just try to write it once again because I haven't done that for quite some time already. Now also the e-residency card aspects. So very quickly, because as I understood, some of you are already aware of this solution. So it helps you to fully establish and manage your company fully online, do that very securely by using very different range of public and private services that are available online. Legally sign all of your documents. And of course, I guess one of the greatest things there is that you can join this community of like-minded people who create many crazy ideas. And I know a lot of people who have decided to move to Estonia for permanently job, which is like some time, and they have been working together with some kind of co-working places and with other e-residency card holders, and they have been creating a new business out from there because they all are open to do the remote working and being open to new ideas as well. And just very quickly, how does the process look like so that you can fully submit your application to become an e-residency card holder by our online services. So you just go to e-residency.com, you apply for the e-residency card, you fill in your background. What we would do is just background check. So we want to make sure that you don't have a criminal background. This is all that matters. But no worries, we're not going to stalk too much information about you, but it's just security aspects here. So you apply online, then you get like this kind of confirmation by email, and then you have to go to the nearest Estonian embassy, where you can also pick up the card and start using this. And when you start using this, you can choose a service provider for your company, register your company by just 190 euros, and apply for business banking as well. And I'm happy to tell you that you can use the fintech companies. You do not need to have an Estonian bank account. It's not necessary anymore. So you can just operate also by using the fintech solutions and once again find partners from many other places, from many other companies and regions too, and just like get to know other people that are on the same level with their ideas with you. And maybe some of the numbers as well here. So today, 98% of our companies are fully established online. The entire banking sector, as 99% of banking is done online. I have been only going to the banks if I had to do a little bit bigger transactions when I bought myself an apartment, so they didn't allow me to do that. Do this very big transaction without showing up, so that's what I had to do. But now we already have also, as I said, the e-notaries, and tax declaration has been filed online by 98% of our people. And if you think about this, so all different groups of people have been included there, because I mean, the age of retirement is 65, and before that, everyone are declaring the taxes online. So it's a very big number. And speaking about the e-resident numbers, so that we already have more than 79,000 people, and this project has been just operating for the past 6 years. And before our talk, I was just checking that from Saudi, we have exactly 100 people who already also have the e-residency card. So this is also pretty cool. And a little bit also, if you just wonder how does the future look like for Estonia, I'm happy to tell you that we're not going to stop here by just providing people 99% of services, but we have some amazing plans to make the government services available for 24 hours by providing different proactive government services. So especially to provide services and help for people that might not be even aware that they are allowed to get some kind of support from the state or anything. So we're moving on the proactive services. And then, of course, also I know that in Saudi, AI is one of the most essential aspects when it comes to technology. You're very advanced, like especially in that sector. So Estonia also has put a lot of effort in order to establish a lot of different services that are based on AI. And last year only, we replaced 50 public services by AI solutions. And we also support financially the private sector companies when they have established the AI-based solutions. So it's a very big cooperation on that aspects. And when we think about the state portal, so in the future, which we currently implement, is that we're going to have an AI chatbot there. So if you log into the system and let's say you just want to register your in your business like a new management board member, and then maybe it will remind you by the AI chatbot that, hey, we need you to update your, I don't know, let's say there is something with the taxes or something, so that they will proactively, the AI chat will communicate with you and would remind you, or maybe you hold the e-residency card and it will tell you that, because e-residency card have to be renewed after every 5 years. Maybe it will also just let you know that, hey, in a couple of months, your e-residency card will expire. Do you want already to start the process of renewing this? So we again like to be one step ahead of the people, so that they can focus on their ideas, on their businesses, and not only on the paperwork and so on. And then, of course, also we'll continue to do cross-border digital governance because people are all across the world living and traveling, and that would be great if Estonian citizens travel abroad, they can use the same services, and the other way around too. And now to conclude my half an hour overview of Estonian e-business environment and ecosystem, if I could just sum it up and suggest something to all the other people or just sum it up to lessons that we have learned by doing this implementation. So one thing that is 100% sure is that transparency works. So if you make your citizens to understand about how the data has been stored, who is able to look after your data, and show them that only authorized people are able to do so, I can promise to you that they are much more open and friendlier to you, and this would attract a lot of people to also start a business in countries that are very, very transparent when it comes to the data aspects there. And then, of course, I have to be honest with you that we haven't done absolutely anything alone. All this work that we have been doing here has been done together with the private sector. So all these different like technology solutions have been bought by the private sector. And every time that I deliver keynotes, I like to say that this is like a magic triangle, so that if country would understand that you need to work, first of all, with universities where the innovation happens, then move all the way to the private sector where the innovation is putting into the market, and then like take this innovation from both of the sides to the government sector and then use it there and work again on a magic triangle all the time by exchanging information and making innovation happening in a government sector too. And then, of course, communication matters. So whenever you introduce some new solutions, you have to introduce the advantages that people are going to have from there, and not just delivering people a message by saying that this is how the system is going to look like. This is what we have learned. Come closer to the citizens, be very transparent, work together with different sectors, and then you can be sure that businesses will grow here and they have some great time operating in this environment. And I do hope that that they all feel that way, and whenever they have some ideas, we try to include their opinions and feedbacks in order to even make the system working much better in the future. So this was just late hour, like half an hour overview, what we have been up to here, and I guess we have some questions now as well. Am I correct?
Yes, thank you, Anett. That's a wonderful, informative presentation about the e-residency and some details right there. We have a couple of questions from the audience. One is asking about fintech specifically, if there is anything, any licensing that is required or any minimum requirement for fintech. Just to give you an insight, in Saudi Arabia, there is usually higher restrictions with the fintech industry from our Ministry of Finance right here. And that's, understand that if someone have a fintech startup, that's why they might have a concern about starting in another country. So how is it with the fintech industry?
Maybe I can turn this question to you. Annika, are you able to answer that one? And do you know if they have any requirements by the fintech sector? If I could, did you hear me, Annika?
I'm very sorry.
Yeah. The first question that they had regarding the, as you work for the startup Estonia, is there any kind of special requirements for the fintech licenses?
No, not necessarily, no. So as far as I know, you know, it's there aren't any specific licenses that I would know of.
All right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Another question, which is about the taxation. So about taxation, how much of the income, how much is the average percentage? How is it calculated?
Yeah, so I would turn it in that sense first, that first of all, the corporate tax level in Estonia for the businesses is 0. So if you have people here and like some of the employees here, or if you actually operate in Estonia, then the corporate tax level remains 0. So you only pay 20% if you take out the dividends from the company. So this has been also attracting many people to come over here. But when I talk about my own, like just like the personal income taxes, it is different. It's progressive, so it depends very much on your salary. So there are different levels, but it varies like between also just around 20 to 25-6% or something like this. Again, depending on your salary of your income.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Another one that we have right here is about it's more specific to hiring talents. If you are hiring talents, are you still considered to eligible for the free zone or the e-residency free zone?
Yeah. So again, Annika can talk about the startup visa and digital nomad visa a little bit more in details. But we do want to attract people because we are a small country and there are many great businesses running over here. We are running out of people at the same time. So all the people that would like to come over here, if they already have the I don't know, Annika can go in details with this, but if they already have a business and they showed that they have the ideas what to do here, if they have been invited to come over here to work, already working positions, then there wouldn't be any kind of problems. But we do have some special projects for that, so that it is easier to get the visa to live here and to live and work here too. So she's going to go in details a little bit more than I do here.
Yes, I will cover this in the presentation shortly.
All right, awesome. And last but not least is about the story of the change itself, or about introducing e-residency to Estonia. Was there any resistance from the people? Were there any concerns for privacy or security on data? So how did the people feel about it?
So as I told you before, that if you think about like this, the attitude and opinion from people, if they're against do something or no, it's again, how do you communicate these things? If you're very, very clear and transparent and you cover the background, how has security provided and so on, there shouldn't be any problem. So that's what we have been doing. We have been organizing tons of different campaigns regarding when it comes to data protection and how everyone would understand what's happening on a background. So one thing that makes Estonia very special, in my opinion, is that there is not a clear line between the government and the citizens in a way. So I work for the government, and I can tell you that I feel that I am working for the Estonian people, but they're not working for me. And I have to try so hard in order to make this, that they would have a great time here. And that's why I need to learn how to communicate things if we develop something new. And even when we introduce the e-residency solution, again, it's a very big step if you think about also the Estonian citizen attitude. Like there's going to be around almost 80,000 people that have access to the same services than we do. So as the Police and Border Board is controlling the backgrounds of people, it is as safe as anything else. So again, if you have some very transparent organizations that are not manipulating with anyone's information, but just making sure that we are safe here, I don't think there is any problem. I haven't seen personally any kind of resistance from people saying that we wouldn't want to have this, I don't know, e-residency, like people who hold the e-residency card or anything else, because I mean, they also help the business environment to grow, and I have nothing against that. So it's the matter of communication.
Awesome.
Maybe also, sorry, if I may add, I have been living now almost 11 years in Dubai. And thanks to all the online services, me as an Estonian resident, I can use with my my card online. So I'm still very active using my bank accounts, doing all my transactions back home. I can check my medical records and all this information. So even like nowadays, when if I would have a kid who is studying in Estonia, so I would have easily access to see his or hers like results from the school. I could see everything online, which would be absolutely not possible if our government wouldn't allow me to do so. Or like give this opportunity. So I think it's also like a big thing that how much like a freedom this gives me, that I can do it from anywhere in the world. And I think it's also like a huge thing if you can really take care of your life without leaving or if I don't have to be in some like a certain place. And I think that's also a really like a big thing for people.
Fully agreed, and I think this is what we're all craving for. I know that it's a little bit difficult, a little bit more difficult to travel these days, but we still want to return back to that, and then just like having an easy access to all of your services wherever you are in the world. It's incredible. But I guess I will stop right over here. If anyone still has any questions to me, you can reach out to my LinkedIn, my Twitter, whatever platform you would like to use, and I would be very happy to cover all your other questions too. But otherwise, you're just going to spend here until very early in the morning. So I guess I will stop right over here. But thank you for everyone for listening today here, and thank you for your interesting questions as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Anett. And if you could just put your LinkedIn link in the chat, that would be helpful for the attendees. And mic to you, Annika.
Thank you very much. I will be happy to share my screen as well. So just, okay, there. All right. So yes, as I previously mentioned, today I'm going to tell you a little bit about Estonian startup ecosystem. So let's just jump into it directly. So Startup Estonia is a governmental initiative, and the main purpose of our work is to supercharge and boost the Estonian startup ecosystem. So we consider ourselves an umbrella organization for the entire sector. And it was founded back in 2015, and we had this big dream back then that by 2020, Estonia would have 1,000 startups. Later, you will find out whether or not we were successful on that. But in order to do so, we had to make sure that the funding was available for startups, also clear the legislative environment. And one of very good examples of that is the startup visa program that you soon will hear about. And then also make sure that the support organizations would be collaborative and work well with each other. And if we look at the statistics now, we can see that actually we were successful in our goal. And today we have 1,125 startups in Estonia. And the sector keeps growing 30% a year on average. And by now we have created over 6,000 jobs. So approximately every 98th person in Estonia's workforce is connected with startups. And all of these numbers are very big if you keep in mind the previously mentioned population of Estonia, 1.3 million. So that is very good. If we look at the investments, we can see that they have been growing over time. So last year, there were 75 deals. The average deal size was 5.8 million euros. And in total, there were over 440 million euros worth of investments made to the Estonian startups. The main sectors that investments were made for were transport, logistics, and fintech. One very useful tool that Estonian startups have is that they all are part of the Estonian startup database. So if you go to the Estonian Startup Estonia's webpage, you get this extensive overview of all of the 1,125 startups in our ecosystem. And it's a very good tool for investors because you can actually go on and select different startups by the sector, technology, stage, how many employees there are, how many taxes they have paid, and so on. So definitely good to seek out potential new unicorns or otherwise successful startups, and definitely a good tool for all of the investors. If we talk about Estonian unicorns, that is the startups that have been evaluated for over $1 billion, then in Estonia we have actually 7 of them, and we are in the global top of unicorns per capita in the entire world, really. And we sort of see that there were 2 waves of startups. So first, in the late 90s or early 2000s, Playtech and Skype were founded in Estonia. And once they became unicorns, well, then some of the founders or first employees then were the founders of new startups. So, for example, Wise, it's one of the founders, Taavet Hindrikus, previously worked in Skype, for example. In the second wave, we also see other participants such as Bolt and Pipedrive, who just recently became a unicorn, and then also Zigo and ID.me, who are not located in Estonia, but its founders are Estonians. And we are seeking out for the future and to see who will be the next unicorn, keeping close eye on Veriff and Moniz, and who else could be potential successful startup. One reason why we have so many successful startups in Estonia is probably on this slide. We have actually over 150 support organizations in Estonia. So the number you see on the slide is slightly dated. And what to seek out here is that it's categorized based on different stages the startup is at, but also different sort of services that they offer, from mentoring to incubators and accelerators, co-working communities and funding. So a startup can easily go and choose based on what stage they are at and see who can actually help them based on their needs. And so definitely very interesting for new starters who are maybe in the idea stage and still are looking out for different mentoring and events. Another very useful tool that Startup Estonia offers are the model documents that can be found also on our website if you go startupestonia.ee/resources. So we came together with some of the best law firms in Estonia and put together 22 legal model documents that are free to use for everybody. Everybody can go to our website and download them and use them when founding the startup, because there are many things that everybody needs. So we've put together a useful package for all of them, really. Another useful tool that Startup Estonia has is the Startup Visa. Startup Visa was born in 2017, and the initial problem was that the Estonian startups were lacking talent from and wanted to hire them from non-EU countries. So the initial purpose was to hire talent, but now Startup Visa can be used by foreign founders who wish to relocate their businesses to Estonia, as well as Estonian startups who wish to hire talent from non-EU countries. So if you previously heard from Anett about the virtual access to Estonia by e-residency, then Startup Visa offers you a physical access to Estonia. But in order to speak about the Startup Visa, we first needed to actually define the definition of a startup. It can vary from country to country. In some countries, a startup can be any company that has just started. But in Estonia, the definition is written in law. And in Estonia, it is a startup that is based on technology. It has to be innovative and have to have also a repeatable and scalable business model with fast global growth potential. So we had this written down in law, so that when applicants would come to us to apply for startup visa, we would know who are we gonna deal with and who not. So when we look at the statistics, starting from 2017, over 2,800 people have relocated or have been granted the right to move to Estonia. And mainly we see that founders are coming from Russia, Iran, Turkey, and India, whereas employees are coming also from Brazil, India, Russia, and Ukraine. So a slightly different, but also some matches over here. So how to apply for the startup visa? Well, firstly, you can take a very easy test on our website to see if you are eligible. This test is mainly based on the first requirement when we talk about what's written in the law of the definition of a startup. And then a second most important and also special part comes in, applying for the startup status. So in Estonia, we have a startup committee which consists of 7 different organizations who will evaluate the business idea. So instead of some countries where people who have nothing to do with startups are looking through the applications, in Estonia, the first part is reviewed actually by true specialists, different founders, angel investors, the heads of different co-working spaces and so on. And only actually about 30% of the applications are successful. So they are very strict, but this is very good because once you have been granted the right, when you have granted the startup status, 98% of the applicants are successful in the next process, which is actually applying for the visa or residency permit. So yes, once you get the startup status, you just go to the embassy or Estonian Police and Border Guard Board, and you get the right to come to Estonia. We also have very good collaboration with the Police and Border Guard Board. They offer their migration advisors who can help with all sorts of questions you may have. And also Settle in Estonia and International House of Estonia offer a very good overview about living in Estonia and different courses and programs about paying taxes and so on. And on this, we are currently working at as well to make sure that perhaps the startup founders get even more extensive overview of all the do's and don'ts about living in Estonia, so that their startups can be successful. So what does the startup visa actually give you? Well, mainly and most importantly, I suppose, access to the European markets. Estonia itself is so small, only 1.3 million people. So Estonia itself is too small for any kind of startup. So that's why, the startups have to start thinking big and global from day one, really. And that's why Estonia is a really good starting point. And definitely your product could be tested in Estonia, but you have to start thinking big from the start. Of course, you get also access to the country. It's really easy to grab a cup of coffee with some sort of advisor, another founder, angel investor, and also actually highest level government officials are really accessible through Startup Estonia. We have regular meetings with them, and we make sure over time that the laws keep being supportive for the startups and always monitor the situation. I strongly recommend listening to Startup Estonia's podcasts. They are available at Startup Estonia's website as well. And we have currently 3 seasons that offer very good interviews with all of the important people in the ecosystem. You can listen to, another foreign founder who relocated to Estonia from Canada and how was his experience. And I think this gives really good overview about everything that may come to your mind as well. And I definitely recommend following us on all the social media channels. Our Facebook has all the different sort of events that are happening in the entire ecosystem. So not only our events, but everything that is happening in the startup world in Estonia can be found on our Facebook. And follow us on Twitter and on Instagram. And if you have any specific questions that may not come to your mind directly now, but maybe later, then you can also email me at annika.jars@startupestonia.ee. Thank you very much. I'm happy to take some questions. Sorry, I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Yes, thank you, Annika, for the informative presentation. Learned a lot, and we have enjoyed it. Answered a lot of questions regarding support programs for me in Estonia for the startups. We have a couple of questions from the audience. So one specific to hiring talent. So let's say an entity wants to open an office just to hire Estonian talents from Estonia to start working on projects abroad. So offshoring projects to Estonia. Is this a possibility? How could they do it? Is the e-residency or the entrepreneur visa relevant to such business?
Yes, I think this startup visa is meant for people to actually relocate to Estonia. So the purpose still would need to be operating somewhat in Estonia. So the purpose of hiring Estonian talent but being somewhere abroad, then I don't need a necessarily necessity for this startup visa, but perhaps e-residency could be a better tool if the taxes would wanted to be paid, for example, in Estonia, or the business itself would be registered in Estonia.
Mm-hmm. Another question from my side. After my visit, I noticed that you speak Estonian alongside with English. The programs are run mainly in English or other languages or bilingual, or there is nothing specific?
The programs are run all in English. So yes, although in Estonia we speak Estonian, Startup Estonian website even is full in English. And everybody all the young people really, and especially the people in the startup ecosystem, speak very good English, so no one would be in trouble.
Yeah, from my side, out of experience, I spent about 5 days in Estonia, in Tallinn, and everyone speaks English, whether young or old or from different generations. So that was nice, and it was easy to go around it.
That's good to hear.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. So about the acceleration programs, or is there anything that is virtual? So how are you reconsidering the programs with COVID and with what's happening? Is there anything that converted to 100% virtual, or how are you coping with that?
It's definitely more challenging in the times of COVID, because we used to have a lot of, events happening still in person, and we really want to meet in person, but we keep going. For example, Latitude 59 was held half virtually, and still those sort of programs keep happening virtually, and we find ways to do it in the second half of the summer. Startup Day will happen. This is located in Tartu and is also accessible to all sorts of people, where everybody comes together. So we do our best to still keep those events happening. Of course, some of them have been cancelled. But yes, Startup Estonia itself is participating, perhaps slightly different to what people usually think. So Startup Estonia itself is not funding any startups, or we do that through our support organizations. So that's why, as I previously mentioned, also like the ecosystem itself is very collaborative and does, these sort of collaborations by themselves, and we are rather just supporting them and bringing the people together.
Awesome. One last question is basically what services, what entrepreneurship support services that are available for the e-residents who are living abroad? They decided to start as a business in Estonia or start as an e-resident. What programs are available to them?
I think Anett can answer this question a little bit better if she's still here. You unmute, Anett.
I was unmute. I mean, it's been a year and it still happens. So can you just once again repeat the question that?
Yeah, so the question is basically, as an e-resident, what are the startup support or entrepreneurship support services that are available right there? So is there any programs that are directed to enable and empower entrepreneurs who are overseas as e-residents?
So the thing is that every single business, no matter if this has been started by an e-resident card holder or Estonian citizen, receives to have the same rights for all this kind of support, all the kind of all the regulations and everything apply exactly the same way the resident card holders than any other Estonian citizen. So there isn't any difference by the system. So that's something that needs to be understood there as well. But we do have some kind of measures that we take also by the support aspects, but again, it very much depends which sector are we talking about and which businesses as well. But yeah, I mean there isn't any difference.
Right, perfect. Thank you. Yes, thank you, Annika. I'm going to ask the audience if they have any questions to direct them to you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Shared some of the links in your presentation. If you could put some in the chat so people can copy
Definitely.
it and access. That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right. So off to Sherif. Hey, let me start with this. So you mentioned your journey of establishing a little bit about the business, a little bit about tod-Z earlier. If there is one thing to comment right here about the e-residency and how you heard of it, how you got into it, and basically give us the insider version of it. Yeah.
Well, it was mainly about the research. I didn't know about it before. This was back in 2019. And when I did research, I found the e-residency program. When I read, honestly, I didn't believe a bit that the full 99% government operating fully digital. It was like a big surprise, especially that I come from Middle East. So the shift was a bit huge, finding me doing everything online, finding everything is digitized, easy. I found a lot of partners, a lot of people and companies that actually advised me, and I knew where to go and how to do it. It was very easy and seamless experience, honestly.
Nice. And right now you're benefiting from all of this, and your resides where? Where do you
I reside currently the same in Egypt. It's the same, but of course I applied. I took residency card from the embassy of Estonia in Egypt. As Anett mentioned, the process, it's exactly the same as Anett mentioned how it's gonna go.
Awesome. And yeah, all right. And okay, when you go to the roots or in the decision-making process, comparing about the different services, other countries, other opportunities, why Estonia? Why e-resident of Estonia? What is the specific solutions that you saw that these solutions fit the business and it will enable it and make it grow?
Well, as mentioned, when we researched, we found that almost there were 3 countries back then that we could operate almost fully digital, which is Estonia, USA, and UAE. We wanted in the beginning, the first thing that was very important for us to abide by the EU regulations. Being a company fitting within the EU regulations was very important for us because our business is all about. So we are sort of a disruptive idea. We want to change the mentality of how people hire talent and how people hire freelancers. So we needed most of the companies and other individuals even to trust us. So we wanted to tell them that we abide by restricted regulations, as also even Annika mentioned, even in the startup Estonia visa, when we applied for it, they told us that only 30% of the ideas that can pass. So we knew that everything is going to be not easy and everything must be regulated in the best way. And this is actually how we wanted it to be very transparent and to be by the book, as we call it in Egypt. So also, of course, one of the most important thing was the taxation, as some of the audience asked. It was very important for us to have a clear, easy, and transparent process in taxation. And this was a vital, important point. And when we read about how the Estonian tax system works, it was very matching to our concept and how we want it to be. So the taxation idea was a crucial point of making the decision going to Estonia, mainly.
Awesome. So with mentioning taxation, I know in Egypt, they do have the income tax and the corporate tax right there. What was the situation with avoiding double taxation or paying taxes in 2 different countries? Was that an issue you were concerned about?
Yes, of course, but we read there are like signing agreements between Egypt and Estonia for that. But mainly what was most importantly here is to avoid the long queues and to make everything digital and we can operate from anywhere in the world. That was most important because back then, before the COVID, so my wife and I was planning to travel a lot and to work from different places. So we wanted to operate digitally from anywhere in the world without having the must that you have to go and sign papers. And as Anett mentioning that, I forgot how it goes that I need to sign documents by my own hand. All I have to do now is just put the e-residency card and everything is e-signed.
Awesome. And for applying for the e-residency, from A to Z till you get when you started filling the application till the moment you received the e-residency, how long was this period?
It was a bit long, I have to admit, because again, I believe they are very picky when it comes to every single detail about the idea, about us. You have to provide a lot of, it's like when you open a bank account, even with like Wise, as Annika mentioned, there is a process called a KYC, which is Know Your Customer. So they basically do the same with you. They have to investigate everything about you, your ID, why are you coming? What are you planning to do? Are you planning to do this in order to relocate to Estonia and then do nothing? Or you really are a business owner with a valid idea that will also help the Estonian community. And we were trying to match that much as we have a team also in Estonia that is working. So as an overall, to answer your question, I think from start to finish, it took around
Sorry.
90 days almost. But
90 days.
this is
Yes.
to receive the e-residency card. We got approved way much earlier, of course, but just moving the card and having it physically in my hand, it took around 3 months.
Awesome. Overall, that's not so bad. So
no, not at all.
Some sort of it's a virtual version of permanent residency somehow. Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that we're working very hard to make this time much shorter in the future, and of course that you have more service providers so that you wouldn't have to go to the Estonian embassy, but we're going to already have plenty of new service providers that you can just pick up the card there. And if you all keep your fingers crossed, then hopefully in the future we don't have to have the physical cards anymore, but they're going to be operating on the phones with the same, like a similar solution as we have with the smart IDs or the mobile ID, like more like the smart ID solution. So let's keep the fingers crossed. We are doing very hard work right now in order to get everyone on board, and you wouldn't really again have to have even any kind of physical card.
Amazing.
Nice. And just to name an obstacle or two, what would other than receiving the card, what are the obstacles or the challenges that you have faced in the process?
Well, actually, I didn't face any much challenges because I believe the community there is really empowering and encouraging you. They tell you everything. I really had support from my accounting company in Estonia. They do a lot of work on my behalf. So I can mention that there were no like big or significant challenges we faced, but I believe as a room for improvement, the Estonian e-residency have a really powerful community and society. I believe we can like learn from each other and support each other more by providing ideas, and even as startups, we can help each other. This is the thing I really believe we can enhance. But in terms of challenges, I didn't face like a major challenges. It was really seamless experience.
All right. And to name, the other aspect, which is wins or victories or achievements, what was the main thing that you were pleased that you made a decision for and got so what's your biggest win?
Well, for me, it was accounting and finance, because in Egypt here it's really hard for us to talk always with accountants, and the financial aspect of the company is very hard. But doing everything digitally, it was really a win for me. I don't have to submit bio reports. Everything is done on my behalf, and that's a really it saves a lot of time. As Anett and Annika mentioned, it's like you really save a lot of days in your life where you can either work more or you can have them as vacation. It's up to you. But the biggest win is, of course, that you save time and you are much more focused on what you want to do.
Nice. That's cool. For anyone who wants to apply for the residency, what would be your advices?
I advise to do it soon because they really missed a lot, especially if they are coming from Middle East region. We're still lacking a bit of tech that I believe it is there in Estonia regarding company formation. This is mainly what I'm talking about. It's a very easy process. If you want to have a transparent model and you are ready to be part of another culture, another community, it's one of the best places to be in.
All right. Did this, just a question. Is it much easier to raise funds or to seek investments with the e-residency, or was there anything that is different than raising funds or seeking investment than being a traditional business?
Raising funds is always hard. It's very hard in general, and it is still hard. Actually, unfortunately, I think it's a bit harder because sometimes people still get mixed up whether is your company in Estonia, so are you living in Estonia, or are you still in Egypt? Oh, so the company is in Egypt. Still, there is a bit of mix because not everyone understands the concept of the e-residency. So I think here, there's a bit of miscommunication sometimes that happen. But whenever you try to explain, they actually get fond of the concept of the e-residency and they forget about the investment, of course. But in raising funds is always a very hard process. I can't judge that much on that because whether you're here in Egypt, whether anywhere in the world, it is one of the hardest processes, for us at least.
Yeah, I totally agree. And with having, somehow you're indirectly competing with the e-residency in order to seek investment. So they people get distracted.
Yes.
Yeah. How about customers? Was it easier to get customers?
Well, it's very much easier when it comes to partners, and this is what I've been mentioning, is that the community and the society of the e-residents is very big and it's really supportive. There are like community on Facebook, there are many communities even in Startup Estonia, the directory and the database. The community itself is very helpful in terms of partnerships. Still, I haven't experienced that much of Estonian clients, but I think as Annika mentioned, when we formatted the company, we were thinking on a global aspect from right from the beginning. We were not just focusing about Estonia or even Eastern Europe. We are focusing on many countries based on our research. For example, our main countries in terms of clients is USA. So this is in terms of clientele. In terms of freelancers, for example, maybe it's like India, maybe it's some countries in the Middle East. So we are using the Estonian community in order to accelerate globally and think global, as Annika mentioned, from day one. But the partnership there, which is really the great thing that can help you to do that.
Awesome. Thank you, Sherif. I'm going to open the floor to the audience to ask some questions, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So we have Hani right here who have his hands raised. Yes, Hani, please.
I'm
Hani?
sorry, I couldn't hear.
Sure. Hani, are you still with us? All right, I think we lost Hani. Okay. Abdullah?
Yes. Do you hear me?
Yeah, Abdullah, تفضل.
First of all, thank you very much for the impressive information. It is a very eye-opener for us about the e-residency and the potential for growth globally from Estonia. Thank you very much to all of you. I have just a clarification question. If I have a digital platform that could play or work from anywhere in the world, why should I put it in the Estonia rather than put it in the cloud? What's the added value I'm going to make if I move my business to Estonia as a digital marketplace?
I can answer part of that, maybe not all, but I can answer part is that whenever you have a platform, whenever you scale, you need, whenever you will raise funds for that, you will be needing to have a country and you have the basic infrastructure to be able to scale on that. So definitely you cannot just have a website on cloud. You need to have a great corporation to support that website, and also you will be needing a lot of partners, clients, and a whole ecosystem. Here, what the Estonian e-residency can do for you is providing you with such ecosystem. That's one of the most important things, is that to have this ecosystem in order to scale as fast as possible. Did that answer part of your question?
Maybe I can also add something here, and I also see Annika open her microphone, so she can add as well. But I guess in my opinion, this is also just like giving you like the key to the door for the European Union, and again finding partners and customers a little bit more like openly in a way, so that it's easier for you to operate with them, because if your partner also has this e-residency card or something, like it's much easier for you to exchange documents. You can save so much money, so much time by doing this cooperation in a way. And as Sherif also said, like just the ecosystem, which might be the most beneficial side there. And of course, I mean, you anyway have to register your business to do somewhere, even if it's a digital platform. We can afford to have also just like the great taxation system, and you don't have to hustle with your papers or anything. So it is just something that comes very naturally in a way. But over to Annika, I guess you also want to add something.
Yes, thank you. So I agree with everything that you've said, but if we talk about, even physical relocation, then Estonian startup ecosystem has a very good reputation elsewhere as well. So if you, for example, have been already granted the startup status by the startup committee in Estonia, this is almost as a validation for your company. So I would say that if you're located in Estonia, you get the access to the great people and the entire ecosystem, and also with that comes also the great reputation of Estonian startup ecosystem and Estonian Estonian overview as well.
Abdullah, I hope this answers the questions, and thank you for your question. Hani, are you back with us right here? Yes. Yes, Hani, we hear you. You can ask your question.
Hello.
Yes.
I would like to thank Marwan for the moderator for this discussion, and the speaker as well. And my question is that we are from Wadi Mecca. Just we would like to thank all the speakers whom they gave us. This is an informative talk about the startup in Estonia and how to make the model to be easy to we can make it in Saudi Arabia as well. And the question is that is it to make that the startup in Saudi Arabia, the difficulty which we are facing, how we can make it a little bit easy and make it to the Estonian startup and all the things which is done in there. So can you give us some recommendation from your point of view?
Yes. So, Mr. Hani, to paraphrase your question, basically you're asking about the ease of doing business in Saudi. If you would advise us to take step one right there in order to make making businesses easier in Saudi, would be the main advice, and what would be the highlight right there? That would be the necessity for ease of doing business.
I'd like to answer that question. First of all, that's a very good question, and as my job especially it is to help the other countries also to make their systems is a little bit more efficient and working better. I mean, in my opinion, the biggest influence or focus that you could put on would be especially by making the different systems to match with each other in a way that I guess the export system or the data exchange between platforms and institutions is always the key element, because whatever topic we're talking about, whatever sector we're talking about, the information has to be exchanged and moved from one side to another very, very fast. And at the same time, when we think about the businesses, there is always a threat or security aspects. But if information is decentralized by different organizations, but they can still only authorize organizations to collect the information and exchange this, then this will also decrease the amount of threats to the systems. So my goal would be, I mean, my advice right over here would be just make things like to match and yeah, I guess the matching word would be the best to describe this, so that different platforms would be able to communicate between each other. Because as I understood when we have been working with Saudi, like this is currently the biggest problem. So definitely focusing on the data exchange platforms would be the great place to start with.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. I believe that's all the questions that we have for tonight. I would like to thank you all for the wonderful session, very informative, insightful and inspiring. We hope that all countries start moving towards digitization faster. We are glad and we are proud that many of our services in Saudi are digitized right now. I believe when comparing to the first time I went to Estonia with the Small and Medium Enterprises Authority a few years ago, and a visit for the purpose of meeting the e-residency and the startup visa team and learn from them. I saw that visit and these meetings impacted the team that were there and enabled them to start implementing and start moving the government agencies that are relevant in Saudi to move forward towards digitization and easing the business. I believe that there is much to learn for us to learn as individuals and as a community from you guys. And we are really glad and grateful for all the information that you shared and all of the contribution that you give in this session. So on behalf of all the audience and on behalf of Wadi Makkah and the Saudi Entrepreneurial Talk, thank you so much for doing this. Just one last thing, if possible. I received few requests from the audience regarding the presentations. If you would like to share them and you're fine with that, please send them to the organizers and they would be acting accordingly. And thank you so much. Very pleased to meet you all and wish you all a good day. Ramadan Mubarak.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.